Hi, everybody. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, Savannah.
Happy Friday. We are coming at you live with a new series called The Event Dish. We really just wanted to spice everything up and have a little bit of fun on these Fridays. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about event don'ts, some mistakes and mishaps we've seen from not our clients because they're perfect, but from other organizations and other nonprofits that we've just seen, from small things to big things. And so we're really excited to talk a little bit about that and try to dig into some of those things to help everybody learn from them and hopefully continue to be perfect, just like our clients. So
Yes.
I thought we'd start out just because it's our first day and just talk about head on the desk moment, worst event dish that you've seen. And Brooke, I thought you could just kick us off with our first moment.
Oh, sure. Yes, we do have some head to palm moments here at Swell on behalf of our nonprofit clients. I think the one that comes to mind that I tell people about this one actually. Years ago, there was a nonprofit had this fantastic concept where people had dinner parties all over the city, and it built a lot of community. It was successful from a fundraising standpoint. They were growing every year, and they changed it to a gala auction, a formal gala auction. And so at the same time that nonprofits were calling us and saying, my gala auction is in decline, people don't want to get dressed up anymore, and looking literally for the concept that this nonprofit had accomplished for years, they switched out into a gala auction. And I thought, the last thing the world needs is another gala auction. My gosh. And sadly, I was just thinking about it as we were talking in prep for this, that COVID obviously hit that gala auction really hard, and it has not made its way back. Their dinner event series would have made it through COVID, and so it's a double shame. But I do give that event. I share that idea with so many nonprofits that are working to find a new one. But yeah, I still wonder about that.
Yeah, and why do you think they did that? Like, what do you think was going through their heads? What was their thought
Yeah.
process? Like, this would be a great idea to pivot completely and change the entire event concept to something on the
I
opposite.
know. I always think about people sitting around a conference room and like, how did this idea happen? And I think about the conference room where all these people sat around and decided this was a good idea. There are two things. One is, I think at that conference room table, wherever this occurred, they could not have been looking at data. They were not looking at metrics. They were not looking at their data. And so that is paramount. Two is, I can only imagine that a board member or an event, somebody who doesn't have a lot of history with the organization, probably popped in there, said, let's have this great idea. Maybe they had some in kind, something or other that helped, push it over the edge, and somehow convinced everybody that it would be easier and better to do this gala auction. And I can assure you the world did not need another gala auction. So
And you even mentioned earlier when we were talking about this, the data. So for
yeah,
their issue, right, was the data. They weren't looking at it
they weren't looking at the data.
into
Well,
that.
to see, they should have looked at different things like, are they able to grow, were they growing their donor database from their event every year? What was their donor retention? The donor retention from that other concept was really high. And so donor retention, donor acquisition, the number of the individual giving that was going on at that event, because auction items aren't gifts; those aren't tax deductible. And they're hard to put together. And I would say also, I think both would probably had their own different intensity levels as far as planning, but there's no way the auction gala was less difficult than to plan
Right.
than this distributive event. It was dinner parties all around the city over the course of a few days. So the other part that was really great about this event is the first concept was more mission centric. They were really able to, I think, showcase their programming better through those dinner parties than they were in a gala format with alcohol and all that other going
Right.
on. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a real loss. A real loss. I keep thinking they're going to bring it back.
no, fingers crossed.
I know. My fingers crossed. I can't. I hope it comes. I hope it comes back. It was a great concept, but yeah, I can only imagine that. Yeah, no data there to fight back the external some external opinion,
Yeah.
and it's probably somebody who meant really well, who'd
Mhm.
had fun at a gala, and who really liked dressing up, and that was their particular perspective on what a successful fundraiser looked like. And there are a lot of great board members that have never gotten behind the curtains to look at the data and to understand what really drives a
Yeah.
great fundraising event. And it's often not a gala black tie event. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it isn't.
Right.
So yeah. So what is your head on the desk moment, Savannah?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's all about preparing. So that
Yeah.
preparation beforehand. I cannot tell you how many times we've had someone call us and expect or want to launch a campaign in less than 24 hours. And I just sit there and I'm like, what is going through your head? You have to have time to put together something that's presentable, that looks really great for the public to be able to come in and
Mm-hmm.
easy interface, use it really well. You also have to have time to promote it. So less than
Yeah.
24 hours, nobody is going to know what this is. You're going to post it on your Facebook page or on your website, and nobody's going to know what it is. So for
Yeah.
me, the biggest mistake is not taking the time to prepare. I know everybody's busy, but taking a little bit of time ahead of time, a few months in advance, spending a little bit of time each week, just getting it ready, promoting it, that is the best thing you can do. So
It really
don't
is.
call us less than 24 hours and launch something. I will say no.
Well, we know, and I know that's I love that from you because you are young. It's easy for me with having done this a long time. And I love that that's your first concept is prep, because the pre-event fundraising is
Yes.
awesome. And it is just the easiest way to increase an event fundraising outcome. But that only happens if that pre-event planning is in place and there's good prep in advance. And you've seen that. You've seen the differences, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I would say
go
a
ahead.
lot majority of our clients probably raise the bulk of their money before anyone even walks in the door. And that's
Yeah.
because they're spending time getting the word out, asking people to
Mhm.
fundraise for them, doing all the things that they need to be doing before people get there, before it's the day of.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, you've helped us put together one of those tools, right? I don't know if you want to mention one of those,
Oh,
some of the
yeah.
things you've put together to help do that. And so, like, there's some download, and I'm sure they're available on lots of websites, not just ours. But
Yeah.
you want to suggest some things that people could look for?
Yeah, I would say depending on what you're doing. So, like an online campaign, we
Hmm.
have checklists that start from recruiting people, equipping people, having a kickoff call, all of the things that are necessary to go
Hmm.
forward and launch correctly. We have
Yeah.
those checklists. And then also there's timelines out there that help you, like specifically right now, because I'm thinking about fall events. There's
Hmm.
checklists that start back in, I don't know,
Yeah.
beginning of summer.
Dude. Yeah.
But it helps you to feel like you're not overwhelmed too. It also gives them a little bit to do each time so they're not overwhelmed. They don't feel like they're going to pull their hair out 2 weeks before. And so really just taking a little bit of time and doing those things. So yeah, checklists, timelines, those are out there, super helpful tools. And usually those things, I don't know about everyone else, but I know at Swell, those things are small 10 to 15-minute tasks. So
Hmm.
it's nothing that's going to take you hours to complete. So it's really
Right.
about breaking it down so it feels doable. So yeah,
Right.
checklists and timelines are really, really helpful.
Yeah, no, that pre-event piece is huge for the success fail of an event or the check-in line. There's so much that comes from just that pre-event piece. So yeah, yeah, that's a good head on the desk moment, and all. So good. Well, this will be a fun series. And to anybody listening, we won't use anybody's names, I promise. And everybody's event has a mishap. I've heard so many stories of crazy things that happen at event fundraisers, and we look forward to sharing those. Hope we can create a good laugh, maybe here and there. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But at the end of the day, everybody's trying to do their best,
Yep.
right?
Yes, they are. And you know what? Even if they look successful on the outside, there's always something tiny. Everyone that we talk to tells us. So really happy to bring this new series to you guys. And that's our first event dish. Hopefully you guys will come back for more.
And don't switch to a gala auction. I'm just going to leave on that
Yep.
note.
That's it. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.